What's up everybody, I'm back and today I'm going to be taking a look at the Lenovo S340 laptop. Now there's a couple of reasons why I was interested in this. One, because it's on sale for $450 right now in the US at Office Depot at the time of filming, and because no matter how hard I looked, I could not find any reviews on this specific model. Now I've been wanting to replace my aging Sony Vaio for quite a while now. It's about 7 years old, but really just now I've been feeling like laptops have sort of been moving along enough so that I would actually feel like an upgrade over this. Now I should say that this was a very high-end laptop when it came out. This was about $1,600, whereas this Lenovo is about $650 if you get it at MSRP. Like I said, it was on sale, so quite a big price delta there. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get started with this unboxing. It's a very clean, very simple, standard Lenovo box here, just a brown cardboard with Lenovo written on it and specs. This is the Abyss Blue model, which ironically isn't even listed on their website. Has a full HD 1080p screen. It's TN though, not IPS. That is something my old Vaio did have that this does not, which is somewhat unfortunate, and you could definitely tell at the store. Now in theory, it should be upgradable, but the average consumer is going to want to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and give her a little bit of a review on that, and I'll be making a bunch of comparisons to my old Vaio, so maybe for those of you who have a little bit of an older laptop, it'll kind of give you an idea of like, should you upgrade, should you wait? And this is more of a no frills laptop, but I'll get into that a little bit more in a bit. So inside the box, we have the styrofoam wrap that nicely protects the laptop. It's definitely not going to get damaged in shipping or anything like that. So inside of here, that was most of it. Sort of off to the side here, we have our charging adapter, which is a block style, kind of looks like the MacBooks, with a very thin, rounded plug-in for the power. And I can probably get some close-ups of that a little bit later on. Other than that, there's a couple of little booklets, a setup guide, and safety and warning guide. So not a whole lot in here, surprisingly. It's been a while since I bought a new laptop, but I've certainly used some other ones. So I'll be drawing conclusions from that. This model does not have a touchscreen or fingerprint sensor, so as I was mentioning, it's really kind of a no frills. Depending on what you're looking for though, this could really be good bang for the buck. The first thing I noticed is that it's a lot lighter than this Vaio here, at least initially. It might be a little more comparable than I originally thought. And this Vaio was a magnesium design. This here, it feels very sturdy. It looks very premium, even still in this packaging here. It is a aluminum lid. Wow. Yeah, this actually, in person, it looks gorgeous. It's a very clean, very elegant, conservative design, I would say. So if you're looking for a professional laptop that has some serious power, this might be one of the best values around. Even at its original MSRP, build quality is phenomenal upon initial inspection. So this part is aluminum, as I had mentioned before. The bottom is it's plastic. Lenovo says it's woven with carbon fiber to increase strength. Looks like the bottom comes off very easily with these 9 torque screws spread around. Your speakers are down here, downward firing, so you can kind of get the extra bass from a flat surface if you have it on a table or something. Now you might not see that if you're using it on your lap. And then we have a vent along this bottom here for cooling. Yeah, and I mean I can see right inside, so it looks like this should be fairly upgradable. I'll probably open that up in a little bit, but for now, yeah, initial impressions. I'm impressed so far. Comparing it to the Sony here, it's quite a bit smaller despite having the same size screen. I'm gonna be comparing the screen a little bit more to that a little bit later on, just to like determine things like brightness and all that. So let's go ahead and open up our power connector. Pretty basic power block here, nothing fancy. I do wish that this would swivel closed, kind of like Apple's. I'm surprised it doesn't. It looks like this is a separate piece, like they might have thought about that but didn't do it. That is kind of disappointing, and there's little dimples here for you to hold on to it while you plug in. Definitely would have liked to see that, Lenovo, because I could see these getting damaged, and just for storage purposes, so you don't have to worry about it scratching up your laptop or anything like that. So a little bit of a disappointment there, but now on to the rest of the laptop itself. Let me finish talking about the specs, since I didn't mention that in the beginning. So we have the new AMD RYZEN 5 3500U quad-core processor with 8 threads. Now this should be pretty comparable to Intel's new i5 mobile series processors that they have. I'm not quite sure about the TDP. It doesn't list it here on the box, but I believe it's up to 35 watts with AMD's Vega 8 processor, boosts up to 3.7 gigahertz. So it should be pretty powerful, especially at this price point. And then there's 8 gigs of RAM and a 256 gigabyte NVMe SSD. And that's one of the biggest reasons why I wanted to upgrade. This Vio has a 750 gig hard drive. It's very slow. If you're getting a laptop in 2019, you're definitely going to want to make sure you get one with an SSD. Okay, so on the inside here, we have a nice protective cover for the screen. Nice little felt. We can go ahead and remove that. And this just looks, it's very, very clean, very professional here. And I'm gonna go ahead and show that off to the camera. The build quality of this, like, even though this part's plastic, at first you probably wouldn't realize it. It seems like this is like an aluminum or something. It's a very well-crafted laptop. These keys are kind of a dark gray to accent the blue finish. This is a very dark blue. When I looked at it at first online, I wasn't quite sure if it was blue or black. The blue on the clamshell is a little bit darker than on the inside here. When you open it up, you can really tell it's kind of the blue, but it's subtle, just gives it a little bit of color. I think it looks nice. Personally, I would have preferred if these keys were black or matched the blue of this palm rest here, but it's not too bad. Other than that, the 2 speakers are 2 watts each by Dolby Audio. Lenovo claims that this is a thin and light design, although by 2019 standards, it's certainly not the thinnest. I would say this is a moderately thin laptop. As far as ports go, you have the 2 USB 3.0 on the right here. They're nice and black, so you don't have that blue sort of with the stark contrast. You have an SD card reader, and then here we have, looks like a reset switch, power indicator, and then on the other side we have a combo microphone, headphone jack, USB Type-C, which is nice to see, and then a single HDMI port. So decent amount of I/O. I would like to see maybe a couple more USB ports, preferably of the Type A, but you can't complain, especially at this price point. Yeah, so initial impressions, once again, just a very, very nice, clean looking laptop. We have the Lenovo logo down here in the bottom corner, nothing up here by the screen. There is this little switch here so you can cover up the camera. A very welcome addition. If you want some privacy, I have my Vio screen taped off there. So we have the power button up here. There is no fingerprint reader, unfortunately. Kind of going back to what I was saying about this being a no-frills laptop. If you want a lot of performance without all the bells and whistles, like, this is an awesome laptop. But if you want a touchscreen with pen support, you know, fingerprint reader, anything like that, this unfortunately isn't going to have what you're looking for. So we have a nice thin power button up here. We have media control keys right here, which I will definitely appreciate. This has a full numpad, which is something I was really looking for. With those media keys, we have play, pause, stop, and then reverse and forward track. Yeah, yeah, other than that, we have, looks like our standard keys here. For the hotkeys, you know, we have volume, up, down, mute, turn off the mic, which is nice. Looks like this is reset. I don't think I would need a dedicated key for that, but you'd have to hit the function key so you don't actually press that anyways. Airplane mode, looks like there's a no camera key. I'm not quite sure what that does. That's kind of interesting because we have the dedicated switch up here. But then we have like a present mode, this lock. I'm also not quite sure what this does. I'm assuming it just locks your computer. You know, it could just as easily be accomplished by hitting Windows L. So, yeah, then brightness up, down, and the rest of your basic buttons. As far as feel goes, the keys aren't quite as responsive as I would like, but they don't really feel mushy. I'm not a huge keyboard expert or like critic. It's fine, probably for daily use. I would like a little more feedback from them though, I think. Other than that, the only other real comments I have about this keyboard are these up and down arrows. It would be nice if they were a little bit bigger. So with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and power it on. This is a backlit keyboard, which is nice. There's a quick command to turn it on and off on the space bar there for the backlight. So I'm gonna go ahead and plug it in and then power it up. Okay, and I'm back. I actually had to go and grab an extension cord. I guess that's kind of another complaint about this that I didn't realize at first. The cord itself is maybe only about 6 feet, so I'll probably be picking up another power adapter for this. Looking at the screen though, before I turn it on, the thickness of the screen itself is rather thin. A little bit thicker actually than my older Sony, but this screen was extremely thin for the time, and it's somewhat flexible, which was kind of touted as a feature back then. But this is much more rigid. A little bit of flex down here when I really press on it, but I don't think you'll notice that too much in daily use. Okay, now I'm gonna go ahead and power this on. So there we see the keyboard light up. Looks very nice. So I'm gonna go ahead and run through and do this initial setup here. I'll probably make a cut for that, but basically what I'm planning on doing with this is later on I'll have some more videos with benchmarks, if you want to use it for gaming, things like that, maybe tweaking some of the power settings, as well as upgradability. So I'll cover that stuff in another video, but for now I'm just going to set this up and kind of give my first thoughts on it. Right away, the screen brightness is actually a little bit better than I was expecting. I believe it's better than this display. And even though this is a TN panel, even from over here, honestly, the viewing angles aren't that bad.
A little sign in here, a touch of Wi-Fi there, and we'll have your PC ready for all you plan to do. Use your voice or the keyboard
Let me go ahead
along
and
the
run
way,
through this.
and if
As
you'd
you can
like me
tell,
to stay
these
quiet,
speakers are
just
actually
select the
pretty
little
decent.
microphone icon.
Okay, so while this is setting up, one of the first things I noticed is the screen is not very good. This is probably the biggest drawback to it so far. The first thing I've noticed is that these blacks, it has very, very bad blacks. They appear gray, almost even white. There's a lot of bleed through, but it is clear, crisp. Apart from that, the screen looks good. It's just a very washed out image. And that kind of goes back to what I was saying about it not being an IPS display. The brightness is fine. For long-term use, personally, I think that would be a deal breaker for me. I'll fire this laptop up in a minute so you can kind of see the difference between the IPS and the TN panel here. I'll set the same background on both of them and compare. But for right now, I'm going to finish setting this up. Okay, so now I've got this all set up and I've been playing around with it for a little bit. And a couple things to note. The trackpad's very clicky. It feels good in the hand. It's accurate. I went ahead and played some audio as well. The speakers leave a little bit to be desired, but they're not terrible. They're very loud. They're clear, and there's good separation between left and right. On the downside, however, they sound fairly hollow and lack really any sort of bass. So even though these are downward firing or whatever, it still sounds very hollow. So if you like bass heavy tracks or something like that, you're probably going to want to use headphones or a pair of dedicated Bluetooth speakers. Other than that, the screen, the issues kind of still persist. It looks a little bit better once I'm getting into Windows and not staring at a mostly black screen. It's just a very washed out image. That might not be a deal breaker for everyone, but something definitely to be aware of. And just kind of to show that, I'm hoping that this appears on camera. So I have this Lenovo turned on right now. I'm going to go ahead and turn on the Sony as well with an IPS display. Brightness is at max right now, but even from right here, this is just much more vivid. Brightness, this Lenovo is a little bit brighter. I do believe it's rated for 250 nit brightness. And that's all because of this TN panel. Now if I move it like this, the color does become more vivid and it begins to sort of match the Sony. And that's just because of the inferior viewing angles of the TN. I do believe this is at max brightness as well. Let me just double check that. It is. So I kind of hope that appears on camera. Like if I shift these laptops, both so that they're kind of facing away from the camera, this one's going to appear significantly more washed out than this one, whereas this one retains most of its color accuracy. So that is a little bit of a disappointment for me personally. Lenovo does sell this laptop for a little bit more with an IPS touchscreen if that's what you want. I can't comment on the starting price of that, I'm not entirely sure, but for the price, so far this is seeming like a phenomenal laptop with only a couple minor drawbacks. I would certainly recommend it, especially at $450, but even at $650, I think it's pretty good bang for its buck. I definitely wouldn't hesitate to recommend it. So, only other things is I'm going to go ahead and shut it down and do a cold boot just so you guys can kind of see how quickly this thing will boot up thanks to its M.2 NVMe drive. So I'm going to go ahead and get the Sony out of the way and go ahead and do that now. So yeah, I would definitely say the screen is the biggest weak point of this. The speakers, I think that's overlookable. I mean, how often do you really use your laptop speakers anyway? For some people, I mean, that might be a deal breaker, but yeah, it's shut down now. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit the power button. We're presented with the Lenovo splash screen, and boom, just like that, it's already into Windows, and then I can go ahead and sign in. So I think that about wraps it up for this review. Quad-core processor, 8 gigs RAM, Vega 8 graphics. I'm gonna have to do a little bit more in terms of that to just determine how good the performance is. And one last thing, if you're wondering how dim the screen can get, I haven't tested that out yet, but let's go ahead and do it now. Okay, so dimness can go all the way to nothing. So if I go one up above that, it's fairly dim. Not as dim as like an iPhone or something can go, I would say, but it shouldn't be uncomfortable if you're in a pitch black room or something like that. So, yep, that's about it for this review. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Go ahead and give me a like, and if there's anything you want me to test out on this, go ahead and leave it down in the comments. I haven't quite decided yet if I'm going to keep it for my daily driver or not. There's a couple things about the Vio I do still like more, mainly the display. That is the biggest thing. I also had more RAM in the Vio, but I plan on upgrading this. It is expandable. I believe you have an M.2 port for your NVMe drive, and then the RAM, one stick is soldered, one stick is removable, and then there's also a 2.5-inch drive bay. Now, if all of those are populated based on the configuration, I don't know. I'll have to look into that a little bit more, and I'll have another video for you guys. So thanks for watching.